Good day. Welcome to our subject, the contemporary world. This part is about the structures of globalization, and our topic is about the global economy. We have four learning outcomes to achieve by the end of this topic. First is to define economic globalization. Second is to identify the actors that facilitate economic globalization. Third is to define the modern world system. And fourth is to articulate a stance on global economic integration. According to the United Nations, economic globalization is the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of the growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, flow of international capital, and wide and rapid spread of technologies. According to the International Monetary Fund, economic globalization is a historical process, the result of human innovation and technological progress. It refers to the increasing integration of economies around the world, particularly through the movement of goods, services, and capital across borders. The term sometimes also refers to the movement of people and knowledge across international borders. The interconnected dimensions of economic globalization are trading of goods and services, financial and capital markets, technology and communication, and the globalization of production. The types of economies associated with economic globalization are protectionism and trade liberalization. Protectionism refers to government policies that restrict international trade. The government's intention are to protect its local businesses and jobs, increase local competitiveness versus foreign entities, encourage domestic production. Imposing tariff is one instrument of protectionism. Why do governments impose tariff? First, it raises money for the government, and second, it protects domestic producers from foreign competition. Imposing tariff is one instrument of protectionism. Let's say a business owner is buying shoes from country A to sell in retail stores in country B. Say each pair of shoes costs $50 and at 20% tariff, the buyer now has to pay $60 for a pair of shoes. The additional $10 for a pair of shoes may not sound like much. However, if the business owner intends to order 5,000 pairs of shoes, the total cost has now gone up to from $250,000 to $300,000 with a 20% tariff. If tariffs cause businesses so much money, why have them in the first place? What is the impact of tariff to the local producers, to business which import goods, to the end consumer like you and to the country. Do this activity using the template that I have sent on our class GC. Moving forward, trade liberalization refers to the removal of trade barriers between countries in order to encourage free trade. Some tangible examples of trade liberalization are reduction of tariffs and non-tariff barriers and the reduction of elimination of quota. Trade liberalization has advantages. Some of these advantages are increase in countries' specialization, higher efficiency, lower prices, and more capital inflow. Trade liberalization encourages countries to specialize. In order for countries to be competitive, they need to focus on products and services where they have comparative advantage. By focusing on fewer products and services, they can take advantage of efficiencies and economies of scale. Trade liberalization can lead to lower prices for the consumers. Imported products or products made from imported raw materials can be sold at lower prices if tariffs are removed or reduced. By the way, when we say tariff, in other words, it is the tax to be paid on a particular class of imports or exports, that is tariff. Local products, particularly those which the country has specialized on, can be produced efficiently and be sold at lower prices. Trade liberalization can lead to higher efficiency of producers. Due to constant threat from foreign competition, it makes countries work efficiently, cut costs, and to focus where they have comparative advantage. Countries with low barrier to trade are attractive ground for foreign capital investment. Look at the pictures. Starbucks, a US company with more than 24,000 stores worldwide, is an example of trade liberalization at work. While there are advantages to trade liberalization, there are also disadvantages. Some of the disadvantages are structural unemployment, environmental issues, and some argue that it tends to favor more the developed countries more than the developing countries. Trade liberalization can lead to structural unemployment. With trade liberalization, countries and companies with comparative advantage grow, and those who are uncompetitive decline or close down. While there could be overall net economic gains, they could not compensate nor take care of people who lose jobs in the process. Trade liberalization could result to more exploitation of the environment. With trade liberalization, transnational companies may relocate their manufacturing sites to other countries, usually in developing countries, to take advantage of their less stringent environmental policies and implementing rules. This results to more pollution or extraction of natural resources without proper regulation. Trade liberalization tends to be more favorable to developed countries with mature industries. Developing countries with small and young industries can be vulnerable to lose out in competition with big, mature corporations from the more developed countries. It is argued that businesses in developing countries need protection to help them grow and diversify. Illustrated are some of the dynamics from the different stakeholders of trade liberalization. As you can see, we have the consumers. Find the cheapest place to buy. Companies search for the cheapest place to manufacture. Countries with lowest wage and weakest regulations produce the cheapest products. Identify the winners and losers in trade liberalization. Who are the winners and losers in trade liberalization? So, here is a summary of the winners and losers of trade liberalization. Winners are corporations and stockholders who earn more profit, consumers who get products at a cheaper price, low-wage workers who are now earning more. Losers, we have the companies who lose out to foreign competition, high-wage workers who have lost their jobs due to wage war, low-wage workers work in hazardous conditions, example, exposed to pollution. The main actors of economic globalization are the transactional corporations, the state, consumers, laborers, and regulatory institutions. The modern world system was formulated by American sociologist Immanuel Wallerstein in 1970s. It is a result of the increasing political and economic interdependence of nations. It had its origin in the 16th century, primarily in parts of Europe and Americas, as their influence went beyond their physical borders through conquest and trade. The modern world systems classify countries as belonging to core versus peripheral societies. Based on the model, nations are hierarchically structured according to a worldwide division of labor in the world economy. The core consists of the strongest and most powerful nations. The semi-periphery consists of industrialized third world nations. The periphery consists of low-income nations. Economic integration is an agreement among countries in a geographic region to reduce and ultimately remove tariff and non-tariff barriers leading to the free flow of goods or services and factors of production among each other. The degree of economic integration can be categorized into 5 levels. Free trade area is where all barriers or tariffs to the trade of goods and services among member countries are removed. However, each country is allowed to determine its own trade policies in relation to non-members. An example is the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, which is an agreement among three countries: United States, Canada, and Mexico. Custom unions is where member countries eliminate trade barriers between them and impose a common tariff against non-member countries. The single market is where countries freely exchange all goods, services, labor, and capital. Complete integration of political union is where members pay smaller expenses to trade, which can spur economic growth. But one member can bring others down if its economy or growth slows. The more integrated the economies become, the less flexibility the governments of member nations have to make adjustments that would benefit themselves. Economic integration has both positive and negative consequences. On one hand, it can raise incomes, generate jobs, and can stimulate economic growth. But it may also result to diversion of trade, creation of trade barriers with non-members, loss of degree of control over key policies. Here are some important points which you need to remember in order to understand the global economy. Economic globalization is the increasing interdependence of world economies. The types of economies associated with it are protectionism and trade liberalization. The main actors of globalization are the transnational corporations, the state, consumers, laborers, and regulatory institutions. Within the modern world system, nations are hierarchically structured according to a worldwide division of labor in the world economy: the core, semi-periphery, and periphery. Economic integration reduces and ultimately removes tariff and non-tariff barriers to the free flow of goods or services and factors of production among each others. Levels of integration include free trade area, custom union, single market, economic and monetary union, and complete integration. With that, thank you so much.